Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rizka Rahayu Damayanti. I want to explain about how to teach in effective method. The learning method has a very important role in the teaching and learning activities of foreign language. The use of appropriate English teaching methods can help students achieve the best performance. Vice versa, students can feel bored learning English if the method used are less effective. There are quite a lot of English tutoring institutions that can help you improve English skills, but you should know what methods are most effective in learning English as a foreign speaker. That way, you can determine the best tutoring that applies the most effective learning method and fits your character. English teaching methods. Throughout the history of teaching language, a number of different teaching approaches and methodologies have been tried and tested, with some being more popular and effective than others. And following is information on 10 foreign language, the learning methods that are currently considered the most effective. First, grammar translation method. This method is the longest exciting method in the world of foreign language learning. The method emphasizes more grammar or grammar. In addition to grammar, there are also translates or subtitles used to teach vocabulary. The teacher will teach material about grammar using formulas, then use language transfer when giving, teaching, reading, writing, and vocabulary in English. Second, audiolingual method is one method that is believed to be effective for making students learn English quickly. Students are taught aloud a language like in infancy. The trick is that teachers practice a short dialogue whose meaning cannot yet be translated by students. The teacher gives instruction to students to follow the dialogue, then students guess the purpose of the dialogue from the expression, pauses, and various things that are practiced by the teacher. Students are invited to memorize the dialogue. They don't know the meaning clearly. Students are forced to think to understand the content of the dialogue and memorize it in a short time. After students memorize, then they are given words in the dialogue which they then write. Third, the structural approach. As the name suggests, the method is all about structure. The idea is that any language is made up of complex grammar rules. These rules, according to this approach, need to be learned in a specific order. For example, the logical thing would be to teach the verb to be prior to teaching the present continuous, which requires using the auxiliary form of the verb to be. Fourth, suggestopedia. This is a behaviorist theory and related to pseudoscience. This method relies heavily on students' belief about the method's effectiveness. This theory is intended to offer learners various choices, which in turn helps them become more responsible for their learning. It relies a lot on the atmosphere. and the physical surroundings of the class, it's essential that all learners feel equally comfortable and confident. When teachers are training to use the Suggestopedia method, there's a lot of art and music involved. Each Suggestopedia lesson is divided into three different phases. 1. Deciphering. 2. Concert session. 3. Elaboration. 5th. Communicative language teaching. The idea behind this approach is to help learners communicate more effectively and correctly in realistic situations that they may find themselves in. This type of teaching involves focusing on important functions like suggesting, thanking, inviting, complaining, and asking for direction, to name but a few. 6. Silent way is actually a method of learning English. However, this method becomes a powerful method when applied to English learning. A teacher uses rotes as a medium to teach many things, especially about speaking and grammar in English. Rods have different colors and length. This method generally has a concept that is almost the same as the audiolingual method. The interesting thing about this method is that students are also invited to build sense or inner criteria that make them able to detect and improve themselves if there are mistakes in using English. 7. Total physical response. This method is done by the teacher doing some work such as walking, sitting, patting books, holding objects, or writing. But before the teacher does the work, he orders himself first with instruction in a foreign language. This was repeated several times. Then the teacher gave orders to students with the same instruction as himself earlier. Through these commands, students are expected to be able to carry out commands such as the example that have been given. The teacher certainly doesn't carry out the order but only gives correction. 8. Community language learning. This is probably one of the English teaching methods where the student feels the safe, as there's a great emphasis on the relationship and bond between the student and teacher. Unlike a lot of the other methods and approaches of teaching English as a second language, a lot of the mother tongue is used for translation purposes. 9th. Task-based language learning. The main aim of this approach to learning is task completion, and usually relevant and interesting tasks are set by the teacher, and students are expected to draw on their pre-existing knowledge of English to complete the task with as few errors as possible. And the last, the lexical approach. The lexical syllabus or approach is based on computer studies that have previously identified the most commonly used words. This approach in the teaching focus on vocabulary acquisition and teaching lexical chunks in order of their frequency, and use. Teachers of the lexical approach place a great emphasis on authentic materials and realistic scenarios for more valuable learning. That's all from me. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.